G'day there. Welcome to the closing bell on the 20th of October, the Friday. And it's interesting, isn't it, what has been happening over the last week? Things turning back down. I've been slowly taking you through this over the last, few months, talking about the risk of things turning down. And I want to really outline for you why I think we're only just seeing the beginning of this leg down, and a little bit more downside, and things could get pretty real pretty fast. So I want to just really outline it all for you. You should feel pretty prepared, I'm hoping. And I want to show you what really could unravel and happen here moving forward. So this is the S&P 500 on the daily. We're seeing just the last few years trading. So I'm just looking at the correction last year, which you can see there. And you'll know that I'm always looking out for the buy and sell zones of these major waves as an area where reversals often happen, and prices then move back to the midpoint, which is your first sort of target, and then potentially swing all the way down to the buy zone. And look, then it can go on from there. But this is what I'm going to just outline for you, so you can see how dangerous this current setup is. So first of all, I think it probably does pay to just look at that bigger wave. And I think, this is years in the making, this whole process. So I think it is important to just really give you a clear sense of why this is pretty dangerous. We've got the huge rally up from 2020, and you'll know that prices, retested the midpoint. Exactly. So you can see the correction came down, hit the midpoint of that whole wave up exactly, and then bounced. So you often get that. There's always support around that midpoint. And we've had a rally for the last year, heading back up towards the top of what is the sell zone for me of the whole wave. So I'm looking at this area here as the sell zone, this area here as the buy zone of that major wave in the S&P. Huge, very strong wave, which is clear as a bell. So what I'm interested in is if prices get hit from around that sell zone area, so around here, and then turn down, you can see a move not only back to the midpoint, which would be retesting the low last year, but it can swing all the way down to the buy zone. And that would be a move down to 2,800. Now, that is not my call today. That is my just warning that this setup is such that if we get some serious selling coming in soon, who knows what happens down the track. But big picture, this is the sort of setup I look for that is a big warning sign. So I've been following it along, and it was really rallied a long way, really took out all the shorts, got everyone bullish again, which is what the market loves to do, just wrong foot everyone. So if we just go into this daily and have a think about what's gone on, you'll see that we had the correction, and now this rally up, as you can see, right into that sell zone area. Now you can go back to my videos from around here, where I said if it does break out, it could rally for sure, but watch out up in that sell zone. So I actually did a drawing like that in one of the videos before all of this happened, based on knowledge of how markets move, how they fool everyone. So the selling pressure did come in, and this is all very early days in this selling pressure, isn't it? Because we do have the strong upside momentum still. So you've still got good buying pressure coming in. The momentum hasn't totally turned down yet, and prices are still above the 200-day moving average, which is where it bounced off recently. And you'll know last week I said, now that we've seen the selling in the short term, I have my lines in the sand saying that I'm bearish because we've got the monthly sell pivot in place. So I was just saying from here on in, it's got to get back above here to change my bearish view or get a monthly buy pivot or what have you. I'm looking at it from a bearish point of view, and we've already had the first couple of waves down, and I was looking at that last week and saying, look, either the midpoint around 4,400 of this wave, so you know the waves as they move down, they're moving in a way, sorry, there's something going on with my software at the moment, which is pretty annoying. Just fixed that. When you look at these waves and how they develop, you know, I'm looking at each wave and saying, right, if this is the beginning of a down move, I'm looking at that wave to the downside, and you can see the rally headed up to the sell zone exactly. Then we've got the next wave down. So then I'm looking at that wave and saying, well, if we are turning down, if this is weak, I'm going to look at that wave and I'm going to say, well, I think there's lots of selling pressure up there, which is what I said last week. And if it's weak, as in WEAK, the midpoint will see selling pressure, which is what we've seen so far. Market turning down quite quickly. I don't know what happened last night. And tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if it looks like that. The way things are looking, it could be a bad down night tonight, but I don't know. But this is what I'm looking at now, saying, right, we've had these two waves down. We've had a retest of that point of control, turning back down, heading in the overnight market towards the 200-day moving average, which is also the low of the whole move from the last couple of months. This is a daily chart. So everything is set up to potentially surprise to the downside. So when I'm looking at this whole corrective phase from last year, and I'm tracing out the point of control of that, as you can see, which is also below the 200-day moving average. So here we have that 200-day, which is where we're at. It could really sell off sharply below the 200-day. And that point of control is obviously the gravitational point that I'd expect it to revisit. You can see after we had the correction, we had a rally which went where? Straight back to the point of control, sell off into the buy zone area, point of control, buy zone, point of control, lots of work, blast off to the sell zone, and now here it is possibly turning down. And what support will be there with the bonds doing what they're doing, looking very dangerous, selling off quite dramatically? There may not be a lot of support, and there could be quite stiff selling pressure. So once it hits this point of control, does it swing all the way down? That's the potential from here down to that buy zone, which would be down at what, 3650 to 3800, and we're at 4300. So that is quite literally what it could look like. And, sure, if something happens, maybe lots of work, and who knows, maybe it then turns up. But you then have to consider what if that doesn't provide support and it goes to retest the low from last year. That's when you're starting to get nuclear. A story for another day. The weekly trend has just turned down, and we've just had a retest of the moving averages. So again, the next leg could be a bad one. You see here, trend turns down, get a retest, failure, retest, failure. Trend turned down there, trend turned down there, retest, moving averages, failure. And of course, they don't always work, do they? You still had weeks and weeks of selling pressure, but was supported, and then the trend turned back up. So that weekly trend is sending a warning sign right now. And let's have a look at the monthly. You can see the monthly sell pivot last month. So often after you get that sell pivot, there's work done. Can't say too much, but don't want to give away too much to you guys for free, that's for sure. You should be a member of my service. That's what you should be doing. And if things unravel from here, now that we've got the monthly sell pivot, you're starting to say, watch out, and potentially watch out in that way. Now, it's been a really strong rally for years and years and years. Plenty of sell pivots along the way, but every time they've happened, you've had quite, or most of the time, you've had months of selling, but still it was in uptrend, right? It's been in uptrend the whole way. So you're a bit more skeptical when the long-term trend is up. And here we've had the long-term trend turn down. So this selling pressure, I'm just wary that it could be a big dummy, this trend turning back up. And if it then goes down, we get real shift. A break under that low is really ugly. That is sort of what could happen down the track. And then I'd be looking at it being a great buy based on that very long-term trend. But just be aware that things are now set up. It's taken years for just this whole structure to get set up. And this is the sort of thing I look for, is definitely after a big wave retest, I'm then wary up here that the big sellers could be just waiting. And that's the sort of thing that can happen. So for now, I'm wary what's coming next. I think it could really unravel on that daily under the 200-day moving average. But then you've just got to follow along. No one can predict exactly what the thing's going to do. It's always going to run all over the place. You've just got to put your lines in the sand where you think, you're wrong, and go with the trend that you're in. Take profits quickly, turn it into a free option by taking part profit, and then let it run and see what happens. It's all you can do. I'm not trying to predict the future, really. I'm just showing you the odds. What are the odds in certain situations, and what's the potential if these support levels, etc., give way. So I think it's a fairly dangerous time for the market right now, and it could surprise to the downside in the short term. And I've been warning you for quite a while, so I'm hoping you're feeling pretty at ease about the whole thing. It's been a tough market. It'd be nice to actually see it have a big clear out so that we could get the beginnings of the next bull market. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about today because, I think I should just finish off on the ASX to give you an update. As you know, our market has been stuck for a long time. I've been analysing it based on the wave down last year. That was the big correction into July last year. And all the price action since, I'd say, is just oscillating within that range. So we have the point of control which has provided very good support all year. And we have the sell zone of that wave, which has seen selling pressure over and over and over again. And we've got the buy zone of that wave down here. So you can see when we analyze that, once it turned up, back to the point of control, sold off into the buy zone. There was your chance to get long. Big rally, where to, sell zone. And then that's been the year. Sell zone, point of control, sell zone, point of control. So lots of work done, and that's built up lots of long positions for a year. What that does is it creates weight. If the point of control gives way, which on Friday afternoon, it's looking like it might just do, the pace of the move under these lows could surprise, because there's lots of people long in this area, long and wrong, possibly, for the moment. And there'll be a lot of stop losses underneath here. So everyone trying to get out the door at once, you often get a sharp move. That could end up finding support in that point of control area, but then things are looking weak. There should be resistance at the point of control if it does manage to have a rally. And then you're looking at bigger picture, what could happen. And when you're looking at that, again, you're going back out and having a look at the long-term wave from 2020, from that crash. And you're starting to think about that. You're saying, here's the wave. Our market's been quite strong, but really, if you're looking at the sell zone of that massive wave, it's a similar story of, there's just lots of selling pressure. If it gives way and does actually break below the low from last year, that's when you're saying the point of control is your target, that midpoint. And on a disaster scenario, you're talking about the potential of a move even all the way down. And that would be if the S&P is really cracking in a big way, down to, it could even get down there. But tell you what, it'd be pretty good buying down there if it did manage to get down there. So maybe it's just a panic, a retest of the point of control, and then it's off. Very possible. All I'm doing is saying where the pressure points are, where the targets are with a high probability, and where it could end up in a disaster scenario. So not necessarily saying today it's getting down there, just that there's now dominoes lined up that could lead to quite sharp selling pressure. All right, I think that's a fair enough warning about what may be coming. And if I'm completely wrong, well, so be it. All right, I'll come back with more next week. Cheers.